The WWE Hall of Fame is frankly weird. There's no physical Hall of Fame building. Nobody votes on the inductees. They're simply chosen by WWE's head honchos. There's a celebrity wing, and sometimes choices don't go over well. For years prior to his 2014 Hall of Fame induction, the Ultimate Warrior was persona non grata in WWE. Warrior considered the 2005 DVD documentary The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior to be a hatchet job, but 9 years after its release, Warrior and the company managed to mend fences, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Warrior was notoriously difficult to work with in the 1980s and early 1990s, which led to the star being fired following SummerSlam 1991. After he threatened not to wrestle unless he was paid a massive amount of money. He was fired again in 1996 after he missed a series of shows. After a stint in WCW, Warrior started going on speaking tours, often making homophobic statements. A Vice Sports report in October of 2017 resurfaced racist and homophobic comments Warrior made on a conservative blog he ran in the 2000s. He wrote posts insulting Hurricane Katrina victims, disrespected Martin Luther King Day, and even mocked fellow Hall of Famer Bobby Heenan after he was diagnosed with throat cancer. Warrior's Hall of Fame induction was on the day before WrestleMania 30. He appeared on Raw the night after WrestleMania, delivering a speech to the crowd. He was dead by that Tuesday from a massive heart attack. His legacy lives on through his widow, Dana Warrior, and the Warrior Award presented by WWE at every Hall of Fame ceremony since it was created in 2015. WWE.com says of the award, "The Warrior Award is presented to an individual who has exhibited unwavering strength and perseverance, and who lives life with the courage and compassion that embodies the indomitable spirit of the Ultimate Warrior." John Bradshaw Layfield's 2020 Hall of Fame induction became controversial because of reports of backstage bullying. There had been rumors of JBL's bullying for years, but they were really starting to come to a head in the years leading up to his Hall of Fame induction. JBL infamously created Wrestler's Court alongside The Undertaker, dishing out often ridiculous punishments to anyone they thought broke etiquette backstage and in the locker room. JBL is also infamous for legitimately beating up the Blue Meanie during a brawl between WWE and ECW stars at ECW One Night Stand in 2005. The shoot fight was apparently over comments Meanie had made about JBL online.
Whether it's, I thought there was liberties taken during a match, or stuff said in a locker room or on an airplane. It wasn't cool.
JBL has also admitted to bullying and hazing The Miz, even once saying he would make no apologies about it whatsoever. The most recent instance of JBL's alleged bullying was his treatment of fellow then WWE commentator Mauro Ranallo, who has been public about his battles with bipolar disorder and suicidal thoughts.
Every working relationship you have to navigate. You're not always going to get along with everybody the way you would like to get along with your colleagues.
JBL was publicly critical of Ranallo on an episode of a WWE Network show in March 2017. After that incident, Ranallo took a leave of absence from the company before ultimately leaving. Ranallo said JBL's mocking didn't cause him to leave, but many fans still hold JBL accountable. Despite WWE officials knowing about the potential involvement of Jimmy Snuka in the death of his girlfriend Nancy Argentino in 1983, the company still inducted the high flyer into the Hall of Fame in 1996. Snuka hadn't been charged at the time of his induction, but suspicions surrounding Argentino's death remained. On May 10, 1983, after Snuka returned to his hotel room following a wrestling show, Argentino was struggling to breathe and oozing fluid from her nose and mouth. Snuka called for an ambulance, but his 23-year-old girlfriend died within hours. Snuka told investigators she had slipped and hit her head and was initially cooperative with the investigation. Snuka was arrested in Pennsylvania in 2015 and charged with third-degree murder after the case was reopened in 2014. At that time, a forensic pathologist said her death should be investigated as a homicide. Argentino's recently released autopsy report revealed she died of traumatic brain injuries sustained 12 to 24 hours before an ambulance was called. WWE quietly removed Snuka from the Hall of Fame in 2015 following his arrest. Snuka died in January 2017 from a terminal illness at the age of 73 after the charges had been dismissed because he was found incompetent to stand trial. The fabulous Moolah was in the third ever WWE Hall of Fame class in 1995, and she was the first woman ever inducted. In the years since she entered the Hall of Fame, she's been accused of abusing and otherwise mistreating women she managed and trained at Camp Moolah in Columbia, South Carolina. Sherry Martel, Luna Vachon, and Sweet Georgia Brown were among those who raised the allegations, which included charging exorbitant high rents, stealing money, drugging women, and forcing trainees to do sex work. The accusations reached such a fever pitch in 2019 that WWE had to change the name of its Women's Battle Royale at WrestleMania 34. It was originally named in Moolah's honor, but presenting sponsor Snickers threatened to back out due to the allegations. Despite the controversy, Moolah remains in the WWE Hall of Fame today. She died in November 2007 at the age of 84. There was nothing controversial about Koko B. Ware as a person, really, but his WWE Hall of Fame induction left many fans heated.
Okay, Koko B. Ware, you know what? You're being an asshole.
Ware's claim to fame in the WWE was coming to the ring with his pet parrot, Frankie, and skirting the line of being an enhancement talent. Some fans believed more deserving stars should have been inducted, but Koko B. Ware was nonetheless inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009. The real-life James Ware Jr. debuted in WWE in August 1986. Perhaps Ware's highest-profile match was a squash match loss to Yokozuna on the premiere episode of Monday Night Raw in 1993. His final appearance for WWE was in October 2005, Ware continued to wrestle in other promotions across the country until his retirement in 2019. Pete Rose may not ever be able to enter Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame due to betting on games, but the WWE Hall of Fame gladly took him. He was inducted into the Celebrity Wing in 2004. He was the first celebrity to be inducted. Rose was a guest ring announcer at WrestleMania 14, where he also took a tombstone piledriver from Kane. At the following year's WrestleMania, he dressed as the San Diego Chicken and attacked Kane before his match, just to take another tombstone for his troubles. At WrestleMania 2000, Kane hit Rose with a chokeslam. Despite their years-long feud, Kane inducted Rose into the Hall of Fame. Another non-wrestler, James Dudley's induction into the Hall of Fame in 1994 just didn't make sense to some fans. Dudley was Vince McMahon Sr.'s personal limo driver and bodyguard. He was also the first black man to run a major United States arena. McMahon Sr. gave him management duties of Washington, D.C.'s Turner's Arena. Dudley also managed several wrestlers throughout his career, including Bobo Brazil. Following his father's death, Vince McMahon kept Dudley on the company's payroll. His final on-screen appearance was in January 2002 on an episode of SmackDown, when he was pushed in a wheelchair by Stephanie McMahon in an attempt to get past arena security. Dudley died of natural causes in 2004 at 94 years old. Abdullah the Butcher's induction into the Hall of Fame in 2011 actually caused a fellow legend to leave it. When Abdullah's induction was announced, 2004 Hall of Fame inductee superstar Billy Graham left in protest, objecting over accusations Abdullah had infected wrestlers with hepatitis C by sharing blades or cutting others without them knowing first. Graham told Slam Wrestling, "It is a shameless organization to induct a bloodthirsty animal such as Abdullah the Butcher into their worthless and embarrassing Hall of Fame, and I want the name of superstar Billy Graham to be no part of it." Abdullah, who had a reputation for violent hardcore matches, responded, saying, "I helped superstar Billy Graham when he was in Calgary. I loaned him money. For him to say I shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame is wrong." Abdullah also said he deserved his Hall of Fame spot because he, quote, drew money all over the world. Graham also said Abdullah never worked for WWE, which was technically true. He worked for Georgia Championship Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, World Championship Wrestling, and many other promotions, but never WWE proper. For what it's worth, WWE still lists Graham, who died in 2023, as a Hall of Fame member on its website. By almost any measure, Bruno Sammartino deserved to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He was, after all, the longest-reigning champion in the company's history, holding the title for 7.5 straight years in the 1960s and early 1970s. He then held the title for another 3+ years in the mid-1970s. The controversy over his induction was just how long it took him to get there. Sammartino was finally inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2013. The delay in his induction could have been because he cut ties with WWE for various reasons, including how his son David was treated in the company. Sammartino also reportedly stood up to Vince McMahon regarding steroid use, which resulted in a confrontation between the two on Larry King Live.
You got a lot of facts there, Ron.
What is essentially the
Hodgkin, man.
Sammartino left WWE in 1988 and headed for the NWA and WCW. McMahon reportedly tried to bury the hatchet with Sammartino multiple times, but the former champion reportedly kept telling him no before finally agreeing to meet with McMahon before his Hall of Fame induction. Sammartino died in 2018 at the age of 82. Molly Holly also absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. She's a two-time women's champion and even briefly held the Hardcore Championship. What angered people about her 2021 induction was how her speech was cut down significantly. She said she was initially given 15 minutes for her speech and worked with professional writers to make sure it was perfect. Holly claimed to have practiced her speech for over 60 hours, but she said on the Busted Open podcast that a few days before the ceremony, WWE officials told her she only had 2 minutes. She compared it to her time wrestling in the company when women's matches would be cut for time or their match time would be drastically reduced.
I cried for like 4 hours.
Holly was able to share her entire Hall of Fame induction speech on WWE's YouTube channel, which she said she is grateful for. Chyna is in the WWE Hall of Fame, but only as a member of D-Generation X. She has still yet to be inducted as a singles star. WWE, particularly Chief Content Officer Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, have cited Chyna's involvement in the adult film industry as the reason for her not being inducted solo. Before her death in 2016, Chyna posted multiple videos campaigning to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Hunter and Vince, may I please have a meeting so we can make amends and bury the hatchet?
Chyna and Levesque also had well-documented personal issues. Chyna left WWE in 2001 after discovering that then-boyfriend Levesque was having an affair with Stephanie McMahon. DX was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019, and Chyna was the first woman to enter the Hall of Fame as part of a group. The other members of DX lauded Chyna in their induction speeches, calling her the biggest and best trailblazer in the history of the industry, as well as probably the most impactful woman to ever set foot in this ring. Chyna's fans continue to clamor every year for her solo induction into the Hall of Fame. Another member of the WWE Hall of Fame's celebrity wing, comedian and host Drew Carey only ever made one appearance on a WWE show, in the 2001 Royal Rumble. Carey appeared at the pay-per-view to meet with Vince McMahon and promote his stand-up comedy special. McMahon convinced Carey to enter the Rumble match, and he did at number 6. Kane entered next, and Carey attempted to win him over with a handshake, then a wad of cash. Raven entered next and distracted Kane, giving Carey the opportunity to leap over the top rope and eliminate himself from the match. That one appearance was apparently enough to secure Carey his 2011 Hall of Fame spot, to the confusion of many fans. In his brief speech, Carey said he was humbled by the honor. The great Khali was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021, surprising many WWE fans who weren't exactly fans of the former World Heavyweight Champion. Outside of the championship win, many thought Khali wasn't exactly Hall of Fame material. Some saw his induction as more of a political move. WWE had been working to expand more into the India market, and many saw Khali's inclusion in the Hall of Fame as a play in that expansion. Khali's full-time wrestling career ended in 2014, though he has continued to make occasional appearances. He founded his own wrestling promotion, India's largest, Continental Wrestling Entertainment, in 2015.